Okay, welcome back to another viewer's mail. This is for my music forum, Freq's Music Planet. I've been away from the forum for a little while, just basically involved in a bunch of music projects, so it's been hard to get on the forum to update. Anyway, so with the email that I have on there, I've had quite a few people sending some questions for me to answer, and one of them is they noticed that I've been working on a 60s rock band, and that is true. And they asked why the name changed from the original Route 66 to the new the Peace Vibe name. Well, originally I had the project set up to have one of the Sioux's veteran singers to be in this project with me, and I kind of dragged him out of retirement, and we were going for about 2 months, and after that 2 months there, he felt he wasn't into basically what we were doing musically, because I wanted to incorporate some of the later 60s stuff, and the band probably wasn't progressing in the way he would have liked. But anyway, so he went back into retirement. So sounded good for the short time we were together, but I had to soul search for another singer, and we did find another singer. He's actually a gentleman that's done some vocal work for the Flat Stanley project. So we kind of threw it at him, and he kind of jumped on board. So we've also got a bass player too, a veteran bass player that we added with the original singer I had, and things have been working out pretty good. Why the 60s music? Just because I grew up listening to it, loved it, and in the Sioux right now, there's not a market for certain adults, and sure, there are some 60s bands, but we're trying to expand on what's been happening with that 60s thing. We wanted to spread out into a wider variety of music with the 60s vein. Yeah, I just felt that in the age group that grew up with the 60s music, there really isn't the market for them to come, to go out for an evening and listen to that kind of band. We got the heavier rock, we've got some country and stuff, and modern rock and country, but it seems like the market's forgot about certain people, and there is room for it. We'll see what happens. I mean, the bands that I've seen doing the music, and also I've done some fill-ins on bass for one of the bands. There seems to be an audience for this material, so we're just giving it a shot, and we have about 60 songs that we've got on our list, and ranging anywhere from Jerry and the Pacemakers, the Beatles, Dave Clark 5, all the way into Question Mark and the Mysterians, the Guess Who, very early Guess Who, the Who, and stuff by the band, and the Zombies, and all some stuff you don't always hear bar bands play, especially these days. So anyways, that's the whole deal behind that. It's just I like to have a variety in my music repertoire, and 60s stuff is just something I always loved. I got asked quite a few questions on Facebook recently about my Christmas cheer drum set projects that I do. I've been doing them for over 16 years, and it's basically working to build complete working drum sets for Christmas cheer to give to people in need. And I've always restored drum sets for myself. I always love collecting drums, but there's some drums that I get along with other package deals, and I may not use those parts, and they sit there, and rather than scrap them, I kind of refurbish them and make use of them. So this was one of the avenues. It was kind of low key, and I like to just keep it that way, but it is something that I like to do. And recently I did a drum set for a couple of friends that kind of came to me about this young girl that really wanted to play drums and didn't have a kit, and basically couldn't really afford a brand new kit. So with a bunch of parts that they donated, and some that I had, and some that some other local musicians donated, I basically made a working kit for this person. So it's just a labor of love, and I really only do 2 or 3 kits a year. This year, obviously, I've kind of gone before Christmas and done this one kit, but that's very rare for me. Usually it's just 2 or 3 a year. So don't ask any questions about getting drum sets. I usually find all the people that I like to donate kits to through channels, and it's worked for quite a while now. So no requests already. Okay, lots of questions about the Wishbone band. I am no longer with Wishbone. The guitar player that was with me, who was with me in the 60s band and Flat Stanley, Tony, he is no longer with Wishbone. Steve Flint, who was the last bass player with me in Wishbone, is also in other projects. The Wishbone band, we basically just called it a day. We wanted to move on to something. I was in a bike accident. At the time we were going full force, and it took me a long time to recover from that, and I really, after that, I decided that it was time to move on. Wishbone is now regrouped, and they are basically, I think they've done 1 gig or 2 gigs already, and will be playing the bar scene very soon, so watch out for them. They'll be playing same 2 albums that I recorded for them, along with a 3rd album of material that we all wrote and finished, and we're going to start recording when I had my accident. So they are playing that material along with new stuff. So anyways, we just basically parted ways. We're all still friends. We're still talking. Had nothing to do with fights or anything like that. It was just time to move on. I'd put about an easy 4.5 years with Wishbone, and it was just time to move on to other things. I've done another project with Cliffe. We did a cover song by a band called the Stranglers. It's called Hanging Around. We did it with musicians over the internet from different countries, one being this Karen Beckeris. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce her last name, but she did vocals and some keyboards on this. Also, Mike Cliffe project is basically, he's the mastermind behind this. Mike Harris, another guitar player involved, and I'm trying to think of the bass part, Stuart Geary from the United Kingdom. Did some nice bass on the track. He's got a very, on this particular song, he sounds almost like Yes's bass player there, Chris Squire. So it actually sounds pretty good. It's online. It's on my Reverb Nation channel, so you can listen to that. And let's see, the Flat Stanley original material is just on hold for a little bit. I was getting ear fatigue from doing a lot of the mixing and recording, and after a while you just get a little numb in the head and you just need a break. So we're just on a little break and doing the 60s stuff just to kind of relax and release a little stress. I'm also been working with some new original material, so which will all be coming out pretty soon. One of the songs is a song called Underworld, which is an idea that I had stuck in a partial sound snippet years ago, and I actually finished it to a complete song, so that'll be coming soon. And let's see, an instrumental called the Big Blue Banana, and also one called No Nonsense. So those will be coming soon. Okay, I was asked about keyboard sequencing, and I was asked this many times. I guess they heard some of the sequences in the 60s band and wondered how it works. It's very complicated. I'd have to do a whole video on it, but basically it is not MIDI. Basically the keyboard parts I play and create myself. I mean, you can find sequences online and incorporate them into your own music. That's totally fine too, but you have to know musical note values to create some of these, to make them play in time, and you know, so all your band changes are on time. And yeah, the hardest part I found in the 60s band is between the first singer we had and the second, is the first singer played the material in different keys from the original, and a lot of singers do that to suit their voice. Unfortunately, it creates havoc on a band when you're learning the parts, because you either have to learn them in the keys of the song and then transpose them to their key excuse me, or it screws up singing harmonies, because you might be used to singing a harmony in the original key, and when you go to sing it, sing the harmonies in the different key, it doesn't work. So that's been an interesting learning curve, because most of the bands that I've had will always play it in the original key. I kind of strive for that. Maybe once in a blue moon when I've changed keys. So anyways, that created a problem. It also created a problem for doing the MIDIs, because I shouldn't say MIDI, the keyboard sequence. This is because I would play the part, you know, segment by segment, to try and get it in the you know, obviously the correct key, and then I have to transpose it a bit. It's a little easier doing it with a computer, and I've also stumbled on some cool new software called Mixcraft that made keyboard sequencing a hell of a lot easier than it did in the old days. Like when Flat Stanley was playing live, we were doing like Pink Floyd and Rush and stuff like that, and it took a long time. This new software helps me out quite a bit, saves a lot of time, and I find the quality better. So software is always getting better and better. Anyways, so the basic breakdown of the keyboard sequencing is I program it that all the music is panned to one side. I pan it to the right. I put a click track to the left. So basically in my headphones, because I have to have headphones, the band doesn't have to hear the click at all. They don't even have to hear the keyboards for that matter, but the audience does. So what I do is I have a little headphone amp. It's got a balance on it, a tone and a volume, obviously. And I pan when I'm creating these keyboard sequences on my computer, when I dump them into WAV files, I make sure all the music is to the right, clicks on the left. So the computer, the sound comes out of the headphone jack, goes into a splitter, and then it's basically split, so a signal goes to the soundboard, but no click to the soundboard. Basically the keyboard sound goes to the soundboard, and I can edit, you know, bass, treble, and add a little reverb or whatever, and that goes to the front house. Then I get a separate mix to my headphone amp, where I do have the keyboards in one ear and the click in the other. I should actually say that from the computer, I actually run it, the signal that's going out to the audience, I run it into a direct box first. Because I found, like right now I'm using a laptop in this 60s band right now. That's going to change because I'm running into a couple of little technical things that I didn't like. But anyways, I run into a direct box with a ground lift on it because sometimes these laptops, you get a weird buzz and it will transfer right to the PA system. So having a direct box with a ground lift actually solves that problem. Anyways, in the old days with frequency, I used to run, and still do actually, mini disc, which is basically a tiny CD disc, but it's encased in a cartridge. And what I do is I take all the sounds from the MIDI files, or not MIDI files, keyboard sequencing, and dump them into this mini disc, so it records it as a WAV file. And the advantage of that is they're all logged with a nice big bright digital readouts of each title of each track. So in the dark on stage I can see it, and all I have to do is there's a dial, I dial through the songs and it just clicks through the songs and I can see them right away, and I can put them in alphabetical order, or most of the time I put it in sets, like set 1, set 2, set 3. So, and sometimes I use a mini disc per set. So if it's set 1, I put that mini disc in, and all I know is there's 11 songs on there, and maybe 6 have keyboard tracks, and they're all set to go for that set. And all I have to do is press play. That basically is really simple. It's shockproof. The drums won't make it skip. Like laptops, I've run into that issue, and that's why I'm kind of not going to use a laptop for the 60s band on stage, but at practice it's fine. Yeah, I keep saying MIDI because it's as bad. I'm always trying to, I wouldn't say defend it, but I'm always trying to correct people on it, and then I say MIDI so much that I end up saying it myself for keyboard sequencing when it's basically not what I'm doing. Like basically MIDI is triggering other sounds, you know, like if I was to hit electronic pad, it would MIDI trigger a keyboard phrase and a sampler and stuff like that. It's not what I'm doing. The actual song is playing in time with me in the click, or I'm playing it in time with it. So it's actually just playing along with it. It is a recording, we'll say, but I actually had to play the keyboard parts. And by no means do I play these keyboard parts perfect all the way through. But the nice thing about software now is you can take little segments, like say for each verse. If the keyboard is the same in each verse, I can cut and paste. I don't have to play the whole song. You know, I don't have to come a virtuoso on the piano to actually, you know, make it sound presentable. So all I do is I make sure I get like a verse right and the chorus right. And if they're repeated, you know, 3 times each, and there's no difference, then I'm just going to copy and paste. I'm not going to spend the time recording it over and over and over. It's just because I'm a drummer. It's like I just want this keyboard track to fill in some spots. So that's the whole point of that. It's just to fill in some areas, some melodic tones that I like. I mean, I get asked all the time, like, you know, why even use keyboard tracks? You know, you're not going to see the person there. And you know what? I could easily probably find a keyboard player. They run into a couple of snags. Is the stages where we play, we're going to be a 5-piece band. It's just going to take up a lot of real estate. Second, it costs money to the bar to pay a 5-piece. Thirdly, I'm not crazy about bigger bands because it's harder to get tight. Also, a lot of the keyboard players, no offense to them, but a lot of the keyboard players have one specialty sound and they don't vary that. Whereas with what I do, I spend the time to try and emulate the sound of each song. And the only way you can do that is with a computer. You know, some keyboards Sure, you can edit the sounds and stuff, but are they going to take that time? Me, I just love doing it. It's just fun to do, to try and emulate the sounds of these particular songs. So in case of the 60s stuff, there was a lot of cheesy keyboard sounds, like the question mark and the Mysterians for the song 96 Tears. Like, it took me a while to program it, but it's not really a hard song to actually play. But it repeats a lot. But I mean, and it's not note for note perfect, but you know, I get asked, you know, why even use it, but it's part of that 60s sound definition. And if you don't have it in that particular song, you know, it kind of just takes that little factor out that, you know, made it so special at the time in the 60s. And yes, you can play almost any song without keyboards if your guitar player wants to evolve into, you know, creating keyboard parts on the guitar and blending with his guitar parts. But then again, that takes time. It takes a lot of practice too, because not every guitar player can do that. So it comes down to it. It's just fun for me to do, and I like the sound of it. I really like the sonic value to it. It's hard for some people to play to it because it's non-forgiving. Like, if you make a mistake and you come in the wrong time, you're pretty much doomed. Like, if I screw up, the band's definitely going to screw up, because if I'm off the MIDI, there's no way to correct it, you know, because I can try and get back on the click, but they're going to struggle to try and find it. If a singer comes in the wrong spot, that's going to train wreck it. So you really have to pay attention more. You take away a lot of your freedom on stage. So if you're a jam band, sequencing is not going to be for you. You have to know how to count. You have to know how many bars are here, how many bars there before you make a change to the chorus or where the guitar leads is. You have to know how many bars the keyboard solo might be, or the lead solo guitar. You know, you have to know that stuff. You just can't wing it. So a lot of the times on a long song, we'll say, like, say if we're doing, let's say, like, originally we were doing Nights in White Satin by Moody Blues, and the original singer we had, wanted all the orchestration in it, you know, to fill it in, because it's one of those songs that sounds really strange without the orchestration. So there was so much going on that I basically, along with the click track, I actually put verbal cues. Like, I would talk, you know, I would say, okay, you know, chorus coming, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that kind of thing, to count down to know when it comes in, and my vocals would be in time with the click. So I've done that once in a blue moon, if it's really a tough thing, and I find that helps if I'm doing the lead vocal and I'm playing to a keyboard track. That if I had my vocal in there, then I don't have to just hear this click all the time. I actually have somebody vocal cueing me, and it actually is a lot easier. But for the most part, like, it's pretty easy. So anyways, I'll do a video on it, and I'll even show everybody how to do it. You have to have a keyboard. You can do it without a keyboard. You can do like a regular musical keyboard. It has to have an interface to get into your main computer. But you can do it without it. You can do it with the regular typing keyboard, and I've done that with a few. It's a longer process, and believe me, not as much fun, but you can actually turn all the numbers and letters into easily a keyboard, and you can make your chords on there. You can do it. There's ways around it. It's just, you know, I've taught music a lot over the years, and you have to know note values to know how to place these notes and make them work. And it's not as easy as people think it is. It took me many years to actually get the hang of it, but it's been a lot of fun. Let's see now. Okay, just looking at the questions here. I've been asked by a few people about teaching, and a lot of the people, I guess they watch my videos on Facebook, because I do put a lot of videos out just for fun, and ask about teaching. I do not teach beginners. I used to many years ago, but I don't do it anymore. I really focused on helping certain people, older people, learn how to read to get into school for music and things like that. And the beginner thing, as much as it was fun, I like to learn myself when I'm teaching. Like, it's funny, as much as you teach other people, you actually learn things yourself from watching these students play. But I found with beginners, I guess it would be my ears didn't want to hear that anymore. I know every kid has to start somewhere, but after almost 25 years to 30 years of teaching beginners, my ears couldn't take it anymore. And when I give credit to my two teachers when I was starting, because it's very, very tough to do that for so long. And now, if anybody wants lessons, I select who. I actually learned that from a friend of mine. I remember he actually used to fire his students if they weren't doing things, because you don't want to waste these people's money, for one thing. And I have a lot of parents, that used to bring their kids over for lessons, and sometimes it was just to babysit these kids that really had no interest in the music. But and then you have some that really want to learn, but it comes down to a factor, a trade-off for me. It takes a lot of time and patience, and I think probably as I got older, I think my patience wasn't as good. Yeah, but anyway, so as for lessons, it's basically I select who I want to teach now, and it's very few. So that's the scoop on that. And okay, I had a question about the custom drums I used to build. And they saw an older video. I was playing this lime green, they call it, actually the color is a lime green antifreeze color. And it's really neon, almost glowish. And I built this kit. And I used to build snare drums for people around town. I did that for an experiment many years ago. I bought all the equipment to make the bearing edge, or cut the bearing edges on drums and do all that. And it was fun until so many people were asking me. I was stunned. It was like, holy smokes, this many people want these drums. And I shook my head, because I thought it was just, nobody would be into it. And I said, for me, I was just doing it for my own, to build my personalized snare drums and a personalized drum set. And then it just went like bonkers. Like, everybody kept asking me. I said, holy smokes, there's no way I can do this, because I was doing all the lacquering for the shells, because I used to restore hot rod cars and stuff. I said, nah, it's not going to happen. There's no way I can keep up, and there's no way I'm going to hire and train people to do this. It was just for fun, and I just went cuckoo right away, and I just couldn't handle it. So yeah, no more of that. I just build for me, that's it. If I sell one of my drums, I'll let you know, but yeah, that's about it. Yeah, no more drum building for anybody. Okay, another question was if I did drum recording for other people. Yes, I do. I do online recording with a number of people, and it's just a fun thing to do. I record my drum tracks here and mix them down to, if you want a drum track and just a 2 left and right channel stereo mix, you insert it into your song. Although that's one way to do it, just for a demo. The problem is it's hard to mix drums that way to make it placed in, or to place it properly in your song. Although it does work, because I mean, they did it in the old days. But excuse me, the best way is to take all my tracks, which could be 15 or 20 tracks, and shove them in your song. But you have to know how to place all these hi-hats and stuff, if they're in sync or not. If you place them out of sync and you say it's me drumming on it, I'll be very upset. But yeah, so I can help you with that. But yeah, I really want to get into just recording drums here in my basement for other people's tracks, and kind of do that side of the creativity thing. The drummer for Max Webster, Scary McCracken, that's what he does. He's been doing that for years, just drums on people's songs. And Dave Weckl, Gavin Harrison from Porcupine Tree. Dave Weckl is one of my all-time favorite drummers. When I studied with him at Seneca there, that's what he was doing. He had his garage turned into a major studio for him and his projects, and then he just leases out his time, and you pay for his drumming and his track and his time, and he'll even actually take your project and mix it. I'm not going to get into that. I'll do my drums for you, but yeah, so it's definitely fun. Time consuming, but fun. And a lot of times you have to do, multiple takes to make the person happy. It's nothing like that. Like they present you with the song, and they go, drum to this. And do you have any ideas on how you want? They may give you an idea. Well, I want this like a slow blues, or a slow this, or a fast this, and they'll say, kind of like this song, and they'll give you an idea of, and then you kind of, okay, you form your own drum part and give it to them. And they go, okay, that's good, but I need this middle different. And you work with them via email, and then you just send the tracks back and forth, and it works out fine. It's been fun. You make a little money at it. So it's funny. I was on Facebook there talking to some other musicians, and it's always one smart ass in the bunch, But someone made some comment of what I've been doing. Oh, I'm stuck in this time period. It's like, no, I'm not. And it says I keep working on material all the time. It's like, what have you been doing? It's like I like certain periods of what I've done in the past, but I'm always doing something. There's never a day where there's not some musical project on the go for me, or some original song that I'm either creating myself or helping someone else create via my drumming or bass playing, and sending it to them via the internet. The internet's great for that stuff, but as for me stuck in certain periods, not a chance. Keep moving on. Anyway, so that's it for now. Like I say, it's been a busy 2.5 months. Well, yeah, I forgot to mention my band project, Flat Stanley. We will be. It's almost done now. We recorded a cover song, heavy metal. It's from the movie. It's not the Sammy Hagar one. It's the Feldon. I think his name is Feldon. So we recorded that song, did it our own way. It sounds similar to the original. And then we did a video for it. And we just did the video in the basement just for fun. And I'm going to have that on the internet very, very soon. I have a few other things just to mix down on it. And it's kind of a tribute to, like for me, it was a tribute to the musicians we lost in the Sioux over the past few years, and like Ray Brown and JP, and there's about 5 or 6 musicians that just their lives were cut short by, you know, either accidents or, you know, just bad living, we'll say. But it was sad to see them go. I was close friends with a lot of them. So we redid the song Heavy Metal as sort of a, I'm not going to say a tribute to them, but as almost like a, you know, say goodbye, because a lot of these guys were into the metal stuff, metal music. And so that'll be out on free to listen to. It'll be on YouTube and on my Facebook page, and I'll have a downloadable version that'll be totally free on the Reverb Nation site. I'll give you all the details. Alrighty, that's it. Goodbye.